Welcome back, everyone. Today we got our 65cc Sawfest entry. Poulan 425. So we'll do a quick teardown. I've already got the baseline runs done. You've seen that in the other video. And we'll start port work on this. So bear with me. First time I've ever done one of these. Hopefully it goes good. Get out there. Pull this handlebar off. That looks like it's in the way. Maybe we can get away with just taking this bolt out. There. Not a half bad design there. Now we got a variety here, 4mm. Phillips. And a Torx. Top cover can come off, I think. Oh, another Phillips there. 4 volts. It's not a steel. Put these back in so we don't lose them. Like that. So much slack in the plug wire, somebody tied it in a knot. Couple Allen bolts and a Torx bolt. Even have a 5mm Allen bolt. I don't know if that's factory or not. I don't think so, but maybe. There's a knot in our plug wire. Evidently it's worked, so we'll leave it for now. Take the muffler off. We'll see what kind of condition it's in. Okay, now it should come out. There we go. Plenty of baffling in the muffler there. Pretty heavy muffler. It'll get a big hole, don't worry. Moment of truth. The piston looks good. No scoring, just a little bit of carbon. So we should be good to go there. Now we'll work on the carb side. Two-piece air filter, 4mm carb bolts, Walbro carb. Let's get the impulse out of there. Throttle rods, nice and simple. Choke pops off, real similar to 372. Carb ring, rubber boot, similar to a 372. Has the air duct, similar to a 372 as well. Let me see if I can get it out without pulling the flywheel. There we go. Kind of a forced air, real similar to what 372 did. Now I think these designs might even be before, so might be an early version of the air injection right there. Move that out of the way. Looks like we could just unbolt the cylinder now. I'll unbolt the cylinder, we'll get it all cleaned up, and then we'll throw a wheel on it, see where it's at. Couple marks on the intake side of the piston, but nothing too bad. Alright, we need to get this all cleaned up good. See, the case gasket actually tore. It wasn't really stuck that great. Definitely a couple marks on the intake side, but we'll clean that up. Overall, definitely seems runnable. Well, we know it's runnable, we just did it. Let me do some cleaning on this, then we'll come back. We had to take a little break when we tore this 425 down. Found out the piston was cracked. You can kind of see it right there. Hard to see. But that happens. Happens in these old saws. And just like that, had we kept running it, eventually it would have cracked all the way through and caused all sorts of issues for us. And same thing. You can't really see that spot through the intake or the exhaust. But that's just how it goes with these old saws sometimes. So even pulling the muffler, checking compression, looking down the intake, sometimes you just never know when you're getting an old saw. Wow. Picked up a replacement 365 Husqvarna piston from the Duke. So we'll get that one swapped on there, check the time, and we'll start porting this one up. So we'll just throw our Duke's piston on real quick. I did throw both these pistons on the scale. They're both right at 72 grams. So we're not gaining or losing anything. Not sure if I really want to do any piston modifications on this one or not. Getting real close to crunch time on these. But we'll see. There we go. Cylinder cleaned up a little bit. Get this set on, put our degree wheel on. Let's get the top dead center. Real close anyway. That's pretty close. We'll install our digital degree wheel. Turn it on. We'll zero it right there. That's close to top dead center. Let's see what our intake's at. Alright, right there. 0. Alright, so we got 153. So divide that by 2. We got 76.5. So we'll bring it up here to the top. 76.5 is our true top dead center. 0. Alright, we'll just eyeball the exhaust and transfers. About there. Call the exhaust 100. So we'll call the transfers 121.5. So 76.5. 100. 121.5 is where we're starting. Alright, we'll come back to top dead center. And we'll check free port. Okay, we've got a mile. So we've got a lot that we could drop this cylinder. But the problem with dropping the cylinder is then you have to raise the ports way up, and that can kind of mess with the flow. So it's kind of a give and take. Let's see. There's a little bit of ring of death up there. I'll have to measure that and see how far we can go. I don't know, we'll probably take 40 thousandths or so out of this band. Said, let me double check some measurements, and I'll show you the porting on this. So you can see kind of the predecessor to the Husqvarna 365, 372. Closed, quad port, closed transfers, bottom fed, nice size intake, just a plain chamber up there. Now now this does have a more centered exhaust port than the Husqvarna's. Those are slightly offset, which that might be helpful. But you can see it does kind of have a decent sized ring up at the top. So we'll do some measurements and see what we can actually get cut off of this. But super similar to the Husqvarna 365, 372 cylinders. Here we have the finished Poulan cylinder. Poulan 425. We added some fingers, widened and lowered the intake, raised the uppers, and we raised and widened the exhaust. I cut 40 thousandths out of the chamber. We got the squish at 22 thousandths. Got our boot on. And we can get this cleaned, oiled, and put together. But just want to show off some of the port work inside. Those fingers, they take a little bit of time to get just right. But hopefully it pays off. And same thing. You can see this isn't 110% super awesome plating left in this cylinder. It's a good clean cylinder, but it's not 100% brand new. So that will affect power some. Hopefully not too much though. So now we can get this one put on. This is an aftermarket 365 piston from the Duke over here at Traverse Creek Saw Salvage. So we'll get this put on. Let's put this clip in first. It's always a good idea to give your clips a little rotate, make sure they're fully in the groove. Then put the pins either all the way straight up or straight down, the little tabs. Just lessens the chance that they'll break off. Not a super fan of these long clips. Probably should trim them, but we're going to risk it anyway. Since this is more of a fun firewood build, put the bearing back in. A little bit of oil on the pin. Now I did some lightening work on the piston to make it flow a little bit better, so hopefully we didn't compromise anything there. That feels pretty good. Let's get this other clip in. Now these clips with the tails are definitely easier to install than ones without. And of course everybody makes tools and everything else for them, so I probably should invest in the steel clip installation tool sometime, but haven't done it yet. Alright, our piston's on. Everything's cleaned up enough in here. Let's clean off our ring. Alright, we got a new piston ring for our new piston. Just a regular cast ring. I don't know if these are cabers or not. It looks like a nice quality ring. So I've had good luck using these Duke's pistons in the past. So that was why I went with one for this project. We only ended up shaving a few grams off of it, so nothing major there. A few people have asked what sealant I use. This is Hylamar Blue. Treated us really well here at the shop. It's an anaerobic type sealant. It never fully cures. And it's fuel resistant, holds up to pressure. And after you do your machine work and everything, the surfaces should be all dressed and pretty flat. So it shouldn't take a whole lot to actually seal it, if everything's right. But no gasket on this build. Right, I will put sealant on both surfaces here, especially around the bolt holes. Now, like I said, this doesn't ever fully dry, but it does tack up a little bit, so it helps keeping the bolts from rattling out. Okay, everything feels good. Want to make sure that ring moves freely in your groove. Everything looks good there. Put a little dab of oil inside the cylinder. Now we need to get this boot popped through here. Not a lot of room to work with it. A little bit of back and forth just so we make sure sealant's all applied. Couple bolts in it for now. Let's get this boot pulled through. Alright, now as long as these seals hold up, because these are the original seals, these bearings are nice and free, so it should spin up really good. And once we get the ignition dialed in. But like I said, this is a racer. It's got, I'll just tell you, it's got the intake on it. I said at 164. Transfers are about normal for a work saw type build, and the exhaust is way up there for where I normally we're on a work saw. So we'll see if everything can come together on this one and put out some power. But like I said, this is a racer. Got to keep a couple things. You know, we don't want everybody having all of our secrets. But you've seen the port work. Said a bit more exhaust duration, similar transfers. We're at 164 on the intake. So we'll see what kind of power this does put out. Need to finish modifying the muffler, and we'll get the rest of it put together. Don't use a lot of battery when it's off.
Alright.
Alright, so we got our boot tucked through. Get our carburetor installed. Alright, for now, this Tygon fuel line will work. The impulse seems good and pliable, so we'll use them. Notice this choke flap's a little bit loose, so we'll tighten that up real quick. Even seems to work right. So that's a good sign. Let's throw our clutch back on. Throw a 7 on for now. Get our dyno runs done with a 7. Once we actually get a chance to test in the wood, we'll try a 7, an 8, maybe even a 9. Probably not a 9, but probably a 7 or an 8. Now if I read the rules correctly, I'm going to guess that these are going to be in like a 12 by 13. I'm going to guess that these are going to be like a 12 by 13 softwood. So at that size, maybe a 7, maybe an 8. But we'll just have to wait and see once we get that far. Let me go grab the muffler. I'll show you what we're working with there. Alright, here's the muffler mod we went with. Nice large outlet at the bottom. Remove the screen and we open some baffles on the inside. You can see we got the baffles opened up. You can just see the light through there. But that's the muffler outlet we're going with, so we'll get this put on. Alright, there's our muffler. Still spins good. Let's get our recoil put on. Gonna guess it goes something like that. Alright, now we can put our recoil on. That knot in the wire seems to keep it out of the way. Alright, put our handle back on. Alright, get our handle put on. Getting close now. I'm getting kind of excited actually. So those 2 bolts for that. Throw our top cover piece on. Got every flavor on the top cover here. 4mm. Alright, she's all put together. Sure hope this recoil holds up. But she's all put together and ready to fire. Same thing, not going to run the air filter right now. But we'll get it fired up. As long as we don't snag a ring, we'll put on the dyno. Alright, I scrounged up about a half a tank of fuel. That ought to be enough to get it fired up. See how it does. Leaks around that fuel line. Need to fill it faster next time. But we'll see if we can get it fired off. And see how it does. know, she sounds like she might have some pep in it. We just got to keep our fingers crossed everything holds together and doesn't hang a ring or doesn't do something it's not supposed to. But I'm feeling pretty good about this one. Alright, here we have our Poulan Pro 425. It's already warmed up a little bit. So we'll fire it up, make our pulls, and see what kind of power she puts out. Wish me luck. Alrighty, I'm pretty impressed with that. This is stock timing and everything else. So I think we might even pick up a little bit more with the timing and the way it's ported. But we'll try that another day. Just wanted to show this off. We'll show where it's at right now. Then we'll come back and play with the timing and everything else. So here's what we got out of the Poulan Pro 425. We almost got it. 7.96 horse, 4.55 foot-pounds. And you can see it's doing pretty well, making the power up top. I think just like the other ones, we need to advance the timing and it'll stretch out a good bit further. So after a timing advance, and we'll open up the carburetor a little bit, we should have this one pretty much dialed in. And it'll be interesting how much power we can actually make out of this little 65. But we started at 5.81 horse, 3.63 foot-pounds. And you can see even with this sporty type porting that's in it, we're not giving up to the stock saw anywhere. Now I don't know if it would last as long as the stock saw, but it'll make our cuts. And we're going to see, I'd like to see if I can get 8.5 out of it. I'd be pretty happy to get 8.5 horse out of 65 cc's. But let me know what you guys think. What do you think of the finger ports? And as always, thanks a lot, everyone.